Hey everybody, Mike with Games Played Badly, and today on Session 0 I interview Christian, who's developed an application called My Sound Elf. It's kind of amazing. I mean, we've all used those soundboard apps, but this is a lot more than that. You can customize it, you can create triggers, you can add modifiers, you can create scenarios. If all that sounds confusing to you now, then you have to dive into this video and watch it all the way through because we actually do a demo of the entire app. So Christian's great. He and I tend to talk a lot. And so we had a little bit longer interview than usual, but try and watch the video all the way through because there's some exciting information about him using some of our TTRPG friends for some voiceover work. So that is a lot of fun. And on top of that, I have my Dungeon Glitch shirt on. I think I've worn it before. I'm running out. I need to buy some more. This is the Dungeon Glitch collection from gemfirefly.com. So if you want a shirt like this or any other ones that I've worn in any of my other videos, there's tons of them up there for all your t-shirt nerdy needs. Go to gemfirefly.com and make sure to put in our discount code of badly15, BADLY 15 at checkout for 15% off your order. Again, none of that comes back to us. It's just a discount for you guys. So, and also, if you like this video, please like it and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. That's all you gotta do. It's super easy. I don't spam you with anything. It doesn't cost anything. So hit subscribe. It's somewhere there. Hit subscribe, and then that way you get updated whenever we upload additional content. And there's a lot coming. So, well, let's get started. That interview starts now. Hey, Christian, how are you?
Good, thank you, Mike. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So I have been, you have an app out called My Sound Delve, which I've started playing with, and I'm pretty impressed with it. Why don't you tell us more about it?
Sure, thank you very much. So, My Sound Delve is a TTRPG sound effect app that I put together with a developer last summer. We launched in November at a gaming con that was in person. It was limited in Charlotte. It was called Mace. And so I shared it with those folks. And at that point, we were iOS only, but we are both iOS and Android now. We launched Android in January.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got nearly 2,000 sounds as of today's recording. And I add new content every single month, kind of around thematic things. So May was Minstrel May. And so we put a whole bunch of bardic sounds and bardic spells in, and we break the sounds down. So most sounds effects that, apps or solutions that are out there is one sound. And so we wanted to have something that mimicked gameplay. So there's an action, and then there is a result that happens with a die roll. Is it successful? Is it a failure? Is it fumble? Is it critical? And so we allow for those to be separate sounds. So it's like a puzzle. You put them together, and we break them down into spells, weapons, phrases, and foley, and critical and fumble. So those are the areas that we break them down through a sound gallery. And one of our projects for later this year is to make it a little easier to sort through all of those thousands of sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the
Yeah,
reason I call it,
downloaded.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I've got another reason why I call it
No,
My
go
Sound
ahead.
Delve. So so we call it My Sound Delve because of the customization options in it. So everything, each scenario that you create, you can put an icon on it. So whether it's a picture of your figurine or, something that you find, icons on the internet or whatever, for your fireball or your lightning or your sword, your battle axe, etc. But there's a recording option that's a premium feature, as well as unlimited sound file import. So
wow.
you can import as many sounds as you want to mix and match with ours for really ultimate customization. And so our players have started or importing, stuff from The Simpsons and Rambo and, Spaceballs and all sorts of fun stuff. So
Oh, that's
That's why
awesome.
we call it My Sound Delve, because it's really about the players and users, not us.
Yeah, I did. I download. I have an Android phone. It's right here, and I downloaded the app, and I actually started the 3-day premium trial, so that way I could have access to all the features. But what I liked was, again, from the standpoint of the scenarios, being able to go ahead and create individual scenarios, so that way you don't have to sit there and set up everything every time. So when you're not only can you set up sound, but you can set up your modifiers and your die rolls. So that way, all you have to do is hit a roll button, and it automatically says, if you tell it, what the success is, it automatically plays the sound that you have for success, automatically plays the sound that you have for failure. I mean, it's really customizable. I was really impressed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's great options for ambient sounds. There's great options, for game masters, and I wanted something that would put in the player's hands,
Mm-hmm.
right? I like to really, every dungeon master likes to engage their table.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not unique in that situation. I give my players a lot of tasks and whatnot, and my groups become my test group. And I will tell you, whether we're zooming like this or in person, it's really fun to hear the result, because you know whether it's a success or failure based on the sound. You don't have to
Right.
actually see. And sometimes you're playing late at night, it's dim, or some dice sets, it's very hard to see what's
Mm-hmm.
the top number on that. But to your point, with the Swift roll bar that we recently released earlier this year, if you hit success and you put as you built your scenario, your damage,
Mm-hmm.
it'll automatically calculate your damage. So you can roll your 20. Yeah, I hit. Awesome. And you play the sound, and and then it will tell you what's the number of damage you did,
Oh,
which,
very good.
yeah, which really saves time as you're going through the combat encounter.
Right, I agree. It also gives the option for dice goblins to roll their physical dice if they want to.
Yeah, exactly. I was telling you pre prep for the show that the reason I added the Swift roll was because of two 15-year-olds that I used to play with when they were kids with their uncle, who's my dungeon master, and they wouldn't use the app, and I'm like, why aren't they using the app? They know me, right? And it came, well, yeah, all you have is the auto roll dice, and they have a whole bunch of dice. They got this color for this thing, they got this color for that thing. So that was the final straw. Like, okay, we've got to build something so people can really use their dice.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and here, this is, I mean, um, now we talked briefly about this, but Discord, for those of us who are still playing remotely now, the great thing is the pandemic's starting to wind down a bit. People are getting vaccinated, so I think returning to the table is going to be an option for people.
sure.
But a lot of us, like for me, the groups that I play with are actually geographically disparate. So we play with Discord, or we play on Facebook, or however we do it.
Yep.
What integrations do you have? Do you have integration with Discord?
Yeah, so I looked and actually interviewed with a Discord bot person, and the way that what I would love to do is have a bot that actually is integrated within,
Mhm.
and because of my licensing with the organizations that I work with Artlist and Boom Library, or I record yeah, I hire voice actors, and so then
Mhm.
I own those particular sounds. But there's limitations to that. So the best way is, like right now, I've got monitors on. I don't have a microphone. I've got an external mic, and
Mhm.
that works. And then I have an external speaker. And so as I'm using this, right, and I'm using the app, this
Mhm.
is Jason Charles Miller going through a sword fight here. Leroy Jenkins. Okay, he just did 12 points of damage.
Yeah.
And that's how simple it is, right?
Yeah. It's really, what we'll do is just later on in the video I'll actually go through and show you the app, and Christian is going to walk me through creating a scenario so that way I understand. I played with it a little bit, but what better way to get advice from than the creator himself? So and we'll
Absolutely.
definitely go through that.
And anybody can reach out to me at my sound elf on Twitter and DM me, and I'll give any suggestion, any best practice, any advice. Our website also has a tutorial, although I need to
Mhm.
update it. It's a little bit old, but it does walk you through how to create a scenario. And most importantly, the groups. Like when you've got like one character, so this is one character that I have, and you touch his icon, that's like everything my cleric can do, right? They're
Nice.
all the scenarios. So it kind of matches your character sheet, right?
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of setup ahead of time, but it makes the game that much more fun.
I think so.
Well, and being an IT guy, we don't read manuals or watch tutorials, so that's the reason why I need you to guide me through this.
Well, it's so funny because it's been out there since November, and we have less than 100 views of the tutorial. So you're not alone, Mike. Nobody watches them.
So now you work with an independent developer to get this taken care of. I mean, what were your challenges getting that whole thing set up?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, what happened was I've had been sitting on this idea, this itch, like I know there's a way to do it, and I just kept going to the app stores and checking them out and checking out different options. And there's some decent ones that are out there. They're free, but nothing was really hitting the way I wanted to do it.
Hmm.
Again, the whole thing about having one action tied to a multitude of results was really spoke well to me. The other
Mhm.
thing was you hear all these sounds of spells but no verbal components, right? So, right, which is a huge part of spell casting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have something for that, and so I needed an interface, and so I mocked up my own kind of wireframing of what I wanted, and
Hmm.
then I farmed this idea out to 5 different development companies. And had interviews back and forth, and we ultimately selected one out of Boston. And my God, and it was interesting. And not one of those development companies were Dungeons and Dragons or any kind of,
Hmm.
RPG players. But my development team has been so like intrigued with this app that they've hired a professional dungeon master. They've come to the office, run the whole crew through it so they could better understand how to play. And they're coming to me with ideas now, and so
Yeah,
it's
that's
just been this
awesome.
wonderful collaborative effort with Cadabrasoft is their name, and so yeah, love them. They were great. So we had this idea in June and a prototype at the end of August.
Wow, that's incredible. I
Yeah.
mean, dealing with app developers for me, sorry, app developers, but it can be it's either they're really good or they string you along until you're out of money.
Oh, I'm out of money.
But
That's
you have a really good app.
well, thanks. That's true. I do have something that's tangible. I have something that the people that have reached out to me have been very positive about how it has enhanced their gameplay, which is exactly what I'm interested in
Mhm.
doing. Right. So it's a subtle thing. I mean, it doesn't take over your game, but it's something you roll, then you play your sound, and
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
as simple as that.
I think the fact that rollers built into it makes it even better because basically the way that just from my experience with it, my limited experience, if you're not doing the manual roll of the dice and you're using the app, when you go to roll, you have to put in what you need to roll to be a success. And so you hit that and it goes through and it rolls, and there's a little bit of suspense in it too because you see it rumbling around her, and it's good. I mean, it emulates the gravitas of the situation, and so it rolls around and then it pops up, and I have mine. What I would do for mine is my fail sound would be the Price is Right, bump 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 bum fail,
Yes.
so.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. I recently I play Starfinder
Mm,
as well as Pathfinder. Kind of I kind of I'll play a Pathfinder module, but it's basically 3.5. It's
mhm.
first edition Pathfinder. But with my Starfinder, I had the security robots in our last session, and I pulled an exterminate, from Doctor Who, and it was great, and it's so cool because everybody like in my group they come to the table with like some fresh sounds that they've grabbed off the internet or they've recorded themselves. Um, and there's so much variety that's in the app that
Mm-hmm.
it can be fresh, right? So you can have this, like I've got, a sword that is holy, right? And so it's not always, if it's an evil creature, then I've got a scenario for holy longsword.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not, it's just a regular longsword,
Right, right,
which is important because as I have the auto damage built in, it will calculate that out,
right,
which is
right.
kind of cool.
And I would imagine it sounds a little bit more holy than just a.
Well, it's actually the phrase. So it's here. I can play it. Let me play a critical for you.
Yeah.
Shine in the light.
That's awesome.
Yep, 23 damage critical.
And
So
that's the thing is I love that this is going to bring so much fun to the table from the standpoint of people can be goofy and do their own stuff and customize stuff. And I mean, I could imagine there would be a case made that it might pull people out of RP. I don't think that's the case at all. I think
no,
it brings some levity to the table, and especially when it's a critical and something like that happens, everyone's up in arms cheering, and you're having a great time.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that the fumbles are pretty awesome too. I mean, the fumble on this one is shine in the light. Hey, he dropped his sword, right? It's real, but I've got a lot of comedy in there too,
Yeah,
and it
yeah, yeah.
does. It just brings up that levity. But to your point earlier, the anticipatory piece of the
Mhm,
die roll, I wanted to keep,
mhm.
and I think we did that.
Oh, I think you did too, because there are a lot of dice rollers and things like, not to bash anybody, because I love all of you, but that instant gratification is something that I'm not necessarily a fan of, just because I've been playing D&D for so long, waiting for somebody to what it here's what it does, and I think this is a perfect approximation. It is the length of time that is required for somebody to find their die and get ready and then throw it and then wait for the result. I mean, that's the right amount of time, because that's the thing is, like, you're going up against an ogre, fighter's down to 5 hit points. The ogre's not doing well. That roll is critical. I mean, it's a make it or break it situation. And so that anticipation makes it even more fun. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the auto die roller has a field to enter in the number that tells the app whether it's successful or not.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's the way I dungeon master. I tell the team, you're experienced enough to know that you're going to need at least a 20 to hit this thing, right?
Hmm.
And so, okay, cool. What can I do? What can I look at? In my character, what can I to successfully hit that? And so you put that number in, and then if you wanted to use the that auto die roller, you need to
Well,
know
it's
the number. Although I was playing at a game, and a game master wouldn't tell me, and I said, okay, that's fine. So I had this scenario up. I'm like, okay, can you put it in? Put the number in right here. And so
well now.
he put the number in. I said, press that button, and he did. So that was a way to do it too. But again, that's in person, and so if people aren't playing in person because of proximity, or if you're streaming, like we are right now,
Mhm.
using the phone and using an external speakers, the way that I have found. I'm sure there
Right.
are other ways to do kind of a split thing with your phone and a microphone into your
Right.
laptop. There's all sorts of technologies, and one of my things that I want to do is update my website. So my
Mhm.
landing page comes in like, how do you play? Right? Oh, in person. Right? Click on
Mhm.
that. Oh, I'm a streamer. Click on
Mhm.
that. Like, oh, VTT. Boom. Sorry, we don't have anything for you yet. Uh, but
So
coming, hopefully.
you bring up a really good point, and I didn't even think about this. So from the standpoint of, because I don't DM that way. I don't tell people what the success. I mean, I don't tell people's armor class. So, I mean, when they get older, when they level up, yeah, I can kind of give them. I tend to be like, you barely miss, so that they know they were close. What happens if you don't have that? Can you do that roll without knowing what the success or failure is, and then select it?
Yeah, so that is another reason why the swift roll bar
Mhm.
in each scenario is important. So you roll your die, and you say, I rolled a, okay, with my modifier, okay,
Right.
I roll a 20, and
Hmm.
the game master's, yep, six, right, and
Yeah.
so then you would do that.
Okay.
That happens a couple rounds. Now everybody knows what that number is,
Right. Right. They
right?
know at least what number they need to hit.
Yeah, it
Okay.
ends up very quickly being deducted, which is why I've always just gotten like said, you figure it out within 2 rounds. So why keep it a secret, right? So just tell everybody from the get go, you're probably going to need something greater than a 20, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right. 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 Yeah.
but again, I don't want to dictate how people play or how
Right.
they rule their table. So I give them options. And so I wanted to have, rather than you play my way or you don't play at all, I wanted
Right.
to be able to say there's the variety of ways to enjoy it.
So I would imagine that the app is pretty TTRPG agnostic from the standpoint of sounds aren't really linked to a game,
No.
per se.
Yeah, yeah, that's an excellent point. Although I will say, I don't really have much in the experience with cyberpunk,
Hmm.
right, or steampunk or um, Cthulhu, right? That those are things that I'm looking. So October is going to be a split month for me. So every month I release new sounds. I mentioned
Hmm.
before. So October, I'm working with Jen Kretschmer on some inclusive sounds. So I've got flying carpet for ambulatory challenges.
Hmm.
I've actually I got a wheelchair so that I
Hmm.
can record my own. You'd be surprised. I can't find wheelchair sounds
Right.
to make a combat wheelchair. I can't commercialize them with the sounds that are currently available for me. So I
Hmm.
got a wheelchair, and I'm going to be recording with my son and I our own combat wheelchair sounds. So anyway, so October is going to be Disability Awareness Month, and so we're going to have a whole bunch of sounds to support that
Nice.
for the first half
Yeah.
of the month, and then we're going to switch to Halloween and horror. We're going to do
Yeah.
gore
Lots
and,
of
and that kind
screaming.
of stuff. Yeah, it's I can't. So I think Cthulhu is going to kind of fall within there, but um, yeah, heavy fantasy and heavy science fiction
Okay.
today.
Right. But again, you're adding content all the time, so.
Oh yeah, I've got an Android spellcaster coming out next month. So I've got a female, and a non-gender Android
Nice.
verbal components coming out next
Right.
month. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Excellent. Well, from the standpoint of the app, I think I want to show that off. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up my phone, and we'll go ahead and we'll let our viewers see what it is. You can walk me through it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, being an audio app, despite that, we wanted it to be attractive, right, and
Right.
intuitive. So the sound gallery is pretty awesome.
I'm on the 3-day trial of the premium version. So right now I have something that says create scenario in front of me.
Yeah,
I'd imagine that's where I start, right?
that will be where you start. Yep. For others, it's the plus sign right in the bottom.
Okay.
Yep. So you'll click on that, and then it's broken into like the info sounds, whether you use critical or fumble, action, and then result. So
So
first thing you want to do is give it a name.
yeah, I'm gonna say Mike because I'm real creative.
Right.
Okay. So
Don't
I
bother. Don't bother changing your icon yet. That's a
yeah.
step you can do later on. But then sounds, it's going to be a plus sign, and so you're going to be one of your action sounds. So are you looking to have like a weapon, or are you going to be a spell caster?
So I'm thinking in this particular one there are so my sounds I have action, success, and fail.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna do my action. I'm gonna hit the three dots, at least on the Android version,
Correct.
and I am gonna go to spells.
Okay. So spells, we have them broken into all spells, and then we have druidic, arcane, or divine.
Mine are broken into action, success, and fail.
Right. But it's going to take you to the sound gallery, and okay, so you clicked spell. So I'm thinking you clicked the total spells because I can't see exactly what
Yes.
the audience is seeing.
Right.
Great. So yeah, on the top it's all my sounds, action, success, or fail. So because you're fulfilling an action, click on the action, and then all those other sounds will disappear from that gallery.
Okay, so I'm going to go through and do everyone's favorite spell, unless you're in the radius of it. And there's actually a search button up here. So I'm going to go ahead and use the search button.
Yep. So when you click on search, you also have, there's a microphone on the far bottom right where you can use a voice activation. So,
Right. So let's see. Illusion. I was looking for fireball.
okay. Just type in fire. Now, if you're in action, you're not going to find that. So fire is actually, right, an evocation spell.
Okay.
So an action for a spell is the verbal component, Mike.
Ah, okay.
So that's why you're not
It'd be an
seeing that.
evocation then, right?
Right. Yep. So you can scroll down and look for, if your character is a male voice, you can do
Okay.
male or female. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
You could
I did my
choose.
male arcane evocation.
Kidneys do scar.
And then for my success sound,
Yes.
we want to go ahead and go to, let's figure out.
Now type in your fire.
Oh, okay. Let's do that.
Yep.
Go ahead and go to all sounds.
And so I have some keywords behind the scenes. So that's why you're going to see things like, something that's flame, doesn't say fire, will still come up.
So firewall 1, I'll go ahead and select that one.
Oh, that's a good
and
one.
my fail.
Yes.
So I would go through and go to spells and do fail.
Yep.
And then look for an evocation fail, which is probably like a fart sound or something.
Actually, yeah. Yeah, and the little triangles allow you to pre-play it so you can hear as oh, that's a good one for
let's see which one. Let's try this one. Let's see. Let me turn my volume up here. Evocation. Oh, that's good. All right. I'm gonna choose the first one. Okay, so now we go down to critical and fumble. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus sign and then go down to, I could do it from the spells app, or I can actually go down to critical fumble.
Yep, I would
right?
suggest, you can do all sounds or you can go down to critical and fumble. We try to kind of break it up. So critical and fumble are fun. Click your critical as a filter on the top and choose from that options.
Well, I like chain explosion. That sounds really good.
I love chain explosion. That's a good one.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back in there so people can hear it. I did not. Critical. Chain explosion. I like that one. Let's see. What else do we have in here? We have. I'll go ahead and leave that. That's fine.
Yeah, if we weren't recording and it was just you and Mike, I'd share some of my Dukes of Hazzard failure sounds.
I still think I like the Price is Right one where it's like bum 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 fail.
Yeah. I got Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man dying. It's fun stuff. I'm telling you.
So I'm going to go into fumble and I'm going to. Oh, this one's good. I already know this one's going to be good. Let's see. Comedy 1. Okay, so I'm going to keep that one. All right. So now we have something called critical rule.
Yep. So basically, we try to give some variance there. So your critical modifier, is it a ×2? Is it a ×3 weapon? Okay. Your minimum, is it just 20? Leave it alone. If it's 19, right? That's good. And then for some folks that don't use a D20 system, which this supports all day long, right? All they would need to do, they would kind of ignore that element, and they would need to roll their dice. But still they could play some sounds once
Okay.
the scenario is made. Okay.
So we're gonna leave it default because I'm assuming it should be a D20 system,
Yep.
and 20 is a critical. And then for dice type, this is basically what you're rolling when you roll your roller. That's a lot of rolls, but so I'm gonna do 1D20.
Correct. 1d20. That's correct. Or if you're playing like a 3d6, that could be something
Right.
that I know some systems play a 3d6. Okay.
And I'm gonna go through and add a modifier because I'm an amazing wizard, and I'm gonna say it is a +5
Yeah.
to hit.
The thing you're going to want to do, Mike, is click the standard button.
Oh, okay.
What that does is it allows that to lock in. So if you were hasted and it gave you a bonus, sorry about that. If it was, something like you got a buff and it was only for one round, you could put that in there and not mark it standard, and it would not play the next time you used it.
Okay,
Right?
I
It
see.
kind of drops off. So
It was just temporary, like if you had a bless or something on you.
you got it. You got
Okay.
it. And then your damage dice type. So not everybody would want to, do auto damage. So that's a toggle.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to want to toggle that on, and then again put in your dice type.
Okay, so 5d6 modifier, because I'm an amazing wizard. I'm going to say it's +5. I'm going to make that standard. And
Awesome.
then there's a little save icon up along the top, right?
That is right.
So I'm going to click the save icon. And now I have my icon here on my phone.
Yep.
That says Mike. That's why I named it. And then I'm going to go into it. And at this point in time, there are icons down at the bottom. And so there is a manual success, a manual fail, a manual critical, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are all manual things that you can, if you're rolling your die outside of that.
Yep, I call that the swift roll bar.
Okay, and then we're gonna go through, and I'm just gonna do a regular roll.
Okay, let's say 18 to hit. You need 18 armor class to hit, Mike.
Okay. So it takes a while. Fail. Oh, I'm terrible. Even though I wouldn't have to roll to hit, but I could also do, because it's fireball, I could say they have to do the roll that I want is they need to whatever their dex is to save.
Right.
And I would roll that. Wow, I'm rolling like apparently I rolled a fumble.
That's great. That's great.
But here's the thing is it's way too close to my real rolling. I don't like it.
Right. Well, yeah, that's great. I real-time stuff. It's terrific.
So for instance, I'll just kind of if you were rolling your dice manually and you rolled a natural 20, you would hit, or you hit something, it would be a success.
Correct.
If you rolled if you did not make it, you would roll your fail.
Yep.
And if you rolled a natural or whatever your critical is in your game,
yes. And if you were doing the electronic dice, you could even use the advantage disadvantage option.
I did notice that there is a spot on here for advantage and disadvantage when you're rolling. So that's
correct. Yep.
That's pretty awesome. I'm going to try that because I'm just kind of curious. Even though I know I don't need to roll to hit, but I'm going to do this anyway. And it shows me both of my rolls and my result. That's awesome. I had a success on that one. So, all right, that's pretty cool. Now you can also record your own sounds in here, right? By hitting the microphone.
That's correct. So, yep. So if you go back to your home screen, if you will, there's the scenarios, then there's the sound gallery, then there's my sounds. And the first thing is recordings, and the second one is import. So we allow for up to 30 seconds to be recorded.
Oh, nice.
And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to name it. It will stay in this library here. And you can also classify it. So you can tell it this is a phrase or this is a spell action. and then it will live in that particular sound gallery.
I'm going to try one.
I'll be quiet.
Okay. Your mother smells of elderberry. Okay.
Awesome.
I hit the check box to save it.
Yep.
And
you're going to want to rename it, right?
Yep.
Elderberry Curse.
Yeah. Right. So I'm going to go, I'll go through and, oh, here it is. Okay. Duh. So we rename it. So elderberry. Okay. And then now I have that. And how do I categorize it?
So there should be a like
sound type. I'm sorry, I missed
sound
that.
Type. Yep.
So this is going to be a phrase. Save that. And I will go back through and edit my other one, and I will use that sound as my...
Actually, you know what you could do is hold it down.
Okay.
Like hold the icon down, and it should give you a duplication option.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Oh, I see here. There's a little icon here with a...
Yep. So if you want, like I said, like my sword versus holy sword, all the stats are the same except damage.
Okay. So I'm going to just go ahead and change that. And I'm going to go ahead and do a... Okay. Go ahead and take a look at this one. And I'm going to change this. And would that be considered... Oh, it's under phrases because that's what I saved it as. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I will attempt my roll here. Oh, I didn't save it. That's a problem. I gotta save it. Okay.
It's intuitive, but there are some idiosyncrasies to the app. For
yeah,
sure.
No, I mean, I'm just kind of rushing through it. I mean, if I was actually going to be, there it is. I forgot to hit the plus sign. Okay. So now I'll do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Your mother smells of elderberry.
Hey, that was actually really... If I actually watched what I was doing, it would have been easy. But IT guys,
Right.
We don't do that.
I know you're too smart for your own britches.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so this is through either one of the app stores. You can use the free version, but a lot of these, some of the stuff that I'm using is actually locked out if you don't have the premium version.
Sure.
And it's what, running $3.99 a month?
It is $3.99 a month. Yep. And currently, the free version is ad free because I hate ads. However, I am taking that space for cross promotion.
So tell me more about the voice actors that you have working for you.
Sure. So we had at pre-launch, I had hired 6 voice actors, and it's interesting. So the first professional that I visited with this idea was a copyright and entertainment attorney. Hey, I've got this idea, right? And so he shared it, and he came back, and we had this meeting with him, and his first words were like, "I fucking love this," right? And they were like, "Wow, that's great, super cool," right? And it turns out, right? So he put us in touch with some one of his clients is a voice actor, and Lauren is her name, and so she was starting this group of fellow voice actors called the Voice Sphere. and it comprised of a number of professional voice actors. And so they're in games like Sonic the Hedgehog. One of our voice actors was in a Star Wars movie.
Wow.
Yeah, I forget the name of the puppet that was Jabba the Hutt's,
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Everybody's gonna know the name, but you're like, why doesn't he know the name? And some video games, that people know as well. And so she was very helpful in helping me give direction and this kind of stuff because I don't do this by trade. My day job is I sell healthcare transactions for my day job. So this is very, very different. And so she was incredibly instrumental. Lauren Singer is her name. And so anyway, so we had gone through, and I had written script for arcane, divine, and druidic spells. And I had spent more than a year writing kind of a dictionary for various words. So I'd write a phrase in common, and then convert it into what I refer to as, druidic delvin, right, for sound delve. And so working with these voice actors was a bit of a challenge for them. They loved it, right, because it's not English. They're like, "Oh, wow, how do I pronounce this?" So I had to create a whole, phoneticism element to it, and the languages were so arcane is influenced by my time I spent in Japan. So when you listen to those words that are in there, there's a lot of Japanese influence, which is kind of cool. Druidic has a lot of Maori, which is the native population to New Zealand, because I was an exchange student in New Zealand in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, I lived there for a year in high school as a 17-year-old. Left New York and flew across the country all by myself and spent a year with a couple families. And so anyway, I was fascinated with that culture, and I'm like, very, very druidic, right? Very nature oriented. And then my divine language was influenced by Greek.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
I spent a semester in Greece. So I have a religious studies degree. So I spent a year trying to sort out a calling to the priesthood. And ultimately did not. And I'm the father of two, so I did not take that vow of chastity. But I did keep my interest in religion, and that's part of one of the things that I love about the Dungeons and Dragons is the pantheon of gods and how there's an influence. And I just love that the divine spellcaster has a divine connection. So as you're looking through and you're scrolling through the sounds, I even have a number of deific devotion, right? So one of the words that I created for God, right, is Otholos, So you're going to hear like, oh yeah, Otholos, right? And that's like, oh God, right? And so it was kind of cool doing that, and then hiring these voice actors. And then since then, I've leveraged some other folks. So the folks that are helping me do the Android, a couple of them are from within our TTRPG community. So Sam from Role Playing and Role Playing is going to do a sound for an Android, as is Robbie Weiss, who's also part of our community. So
Nice.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward to working with you. They come out next month in June, as long as I can edit it all in time. So
I know that Sam's up to the task. He's a goofball.
He is a goofball, absolutely. I had a long road trip recently, and I backed up. I listened to a whole bunch of their storylines. So their podcast is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So any app streamers, I shouldn't say app. Any streamers that want to use our app, any games on Twitch or whatever that want to use our app, please reach out and we will get you going. I've got all the licensing necessary for it, and you won't get dinged because and I'll promote you, right? So everybody that opens up the free version will say, as heard on XYZ, right?
Right, exactly.
So yeah, like I just sponsored, the Nat 30s. And so they're looking at, potentially bringing those in. And Will of the Dice also, Tier with Will of the Dice was so gracious to be the first to use our sounds on their live podcast or
Nice.
their live stream. So I was
Right.
really, really happy to have some innovators reach out to me and incorporate that. And again, it's not taking over your game. It is a subtle addition, increased immersion. But I will say, as I sit back and I watch Twitch and I watch people doing like this and counting up their dice for damage, I'm like, there's such a better way, right? It's so fast, you know.
Right.
And it's not like they haven't done the work, because it does take some time to create your scenarios, right? So you look at your character sheet, all the stuff that you can do, and you make all those scenarios. And because you've just made 2, Mike, you're going to actually be able to group them now under. So they'll be under. And so what you can do is you can then label that as, Mike's fireball, or, Mike's level 3 spells.
Yeah, and that was something we talked about earlier. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, you can group these so that way they're with your character at all times. So if you have multiple characters, you can have multiple scenarios for that character. And
Yep, or multiple games, like the old Castle Ravenloft 4th edition board game.
Oh yeah,
there's Legends of Drizzt. There's there's 4 or 5 of them. They were like $70, so I only bought one.
Yeah, right. They were expensive at the time for sure.
But I went through all the cards, and I actually made a scenario for every single card.
Oh my goodness.
But they're all under one icon, right? So there's that, and then there's all these different, like, this is all the player stuff that they can do. And so I just, it's all under one pyramid kind of thing, but it's all on my main screen under Ravenloft.
Right, so you can subgroup everything. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I've got my Starfinder Mission 1, Starfinder Mission 2. I've got Rune Lords. So each of my games, they're all up under one icon, so I can grab them. And basically, I just go through the module or the monster manual or whatever, and I look at what they can do, and then I make a scenario, and actually, I just take a picture of the monster,
right,
and from the monster manual. The art is so awesome in the books.
Yeah.
So boom, and then I know what monster that is. It's just it's something that's a mnemonic that makes it easier to find. Because there's no way you're going to enjoy this app if you don't make scenarios. If you're just going through the sound gallery and sorting through 1,000 sounds, it's you can't do that real time.
Right. Well, I was saying, my husband plays a bard, and so he plays the ukulele, and so he's been playing the ukulele in our adventure. So I'm thinking this would actually be a really good way for him to record some snippets of his songs rather than having to replay them every time.
Absolutely.
So
yes, yeah. In fact, someone in our community, Kauai Tornado, had put together a supplement for a metal bard that
I could see that.
Oh my God, it was so awesome, and it's inspired me. Literally on Thursday, I see this. I'm like, holy shit! That's like the 3rd thing for bard that I've seen this month. All right, bards are hot and heavy. I'm going to change my release. So between Thursday night and Monday night, that's all I worked on was bard sounds to be released into my portal to be released the next weekend. And
Very
so
cool.
all that stuff was done, Thursday through Monday. So thank you for that. And so I put, if I'm inspired by something that I see on Twitter or whatever, I kind of feel like that's free domain. So I throw that into the free bucket. Not the $3.99 bucket.
Right.
So right now there's like 92 sounds that are in there for free, and they all have a period in front of them. And so that's just for like sorting purposes.
Yes, right.
It's a little cheat. Makes it easier so that they're all together, because before they were all alphabetical and it was kind of hard to see.
Right.
So that was just a way that we could do that. And I'll continue to do free sounds that I'm inspired by stuff on Twitter.
Well, very cool. I mean, I love the app. The funny thing is, I activated my trial, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna keep subscribing to it because now I really want to play with it. So
that's great, because the more subscribers I have, the more I can do with the app. Like one thing that is on my radar is multi-attacking. So right now, you create a scenario and it's great for a single attack, but there are a lot of, one of the things that 5e did was make a ton of options for multiple attacks, right? And so I want to be able to kind of match that character, like 17 is my first hit, 12 is my next one, maybe, right? Today we can't do that. So you have to kind of do some math iteration in your head, which isn't a big deal if you're rolling your dice and then doing the swift roll anyway.
Right.
You're doing that. But I want to add that. But I just, like I said, we've run out of money, so we need to get more subscribers so that we can fund fun things. And
that sounds great. I mean, especially when you're, God forbid you play a monk. That's a lot of dice rolling right there.
Yeah. In fact, that's one of the things that I want. One of the months that I want to focus on is I want to work with a voice actor and come up with some fun phrases, about your honor, and things like that. But then also, nunchucks, and I do have some multi punches and that kind of stuff, which is really cool. But I got a little distracted because my game is Starfinder right now. So there's a ton of stuff in there. There's spaceships battles and whatnot, and so I even put skill check things in there for Starfinder spaceship battle. So like,
that's fun.
Yeah. So engineering checks, like, I failed my piloting check, right? That kind of thing, and I'll just keep growing it, and I hope people are responsive to it, and I'm planning on hitting some cons. I'm not going to do Gen Con this year, but that's only because I've got a family vacation that we're going to hit multiple.
Right.
We're hitting like 9 states on a road trip with the kids this summer. I turned 50 and I want to hit all 49 states, and I got 4 left. So
yeah.
Well,
I mean, cons are great, but I mean, I think the app can be used virtually, obviously, as long, again, just as you're using it, have an external speaker, so that way my microphone, which is up here, can pick it up or what have you. I'd also thought about doing a dual input for microphone. So you just, if your cell phone has, a lot of cell phones don't have earbuds, earphone connections, but you could feed that into another mic input if you wanted to. So
that's correct, and they have splitters, and I've got 430 some odd followers, and once I hit 500, I've been thinking about what my giveaway is going to be, right? And certainly I could give away, like an Apple or Android gift card, but I'd much rather give something tangible, and so it might actually be some technology like that.
I don't think those little USB splitters aren't super expensive.
No.
And you can have multiple inputs, and it would probably work. So
yeah.
That being said, I just love your app. I think it's fantastic. Everybody out there who's watching me right now, at least download it and give it a try, because I think you're going to find it incredibly. It's a lot of fun. It's especially with us all going back to hopefully going back to playing in person if we can. It's going to be even more fun around the table, but you can use it virtually. And he's giving us content every month. And the premium subscription is only $4 a month. So, I mean, you spend it on a Starbucks coffee.
That's true. I wanted it to be similar to, like a Ko-Fi or a Patreon amount. And if you add it up for the year, it's still cheaper than, any hardcover book.
Absolutely. Christian, I really do appreciate you coming on the show and sharing everything with. Hopefully I did your app justice in my recording, because I kind of fumbled around. I fat fingered some things, but either way, you guys can download it for free, and there's a tutorial out there that you do. And if you want to, DM Christian directly, and he'll help you out with it.
Absolutely. I welcome any feedback and sound suggestions. Hey, for my game, I would love to hear blah, 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 blah. I mean, I scroll Twitter for inspiration, as well as, giving support for the community. So are you ready for rapid fire? You're going to do that with
I was actually waiting for you to ask me.
I'm ready. Here we go.
All right. So rapid fire questions. These are hard hitting. You gotta be honest. Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Really?
Yeah,
Do you not like chocolate at all?
my wife and daughter can't stand that I'm not a huge dessert guy. But it's because I don't want to be fatter. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I hold myself back from buying it because I don't want to eat it. But in terms of chocolate and vanilla, it's a lot more versatile.
I guess so. You can pair it with just about anything. You pair it with some fruit, or it doesn't take over the entire plate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, except in the winter, I do tea.
Oh, interesting. What? I can see that.
I do coffee in the morning and then I'll do tea at night.
Okay. So, what is your ultimate fast food favorite dish?
I'm a huge, huge burger fan, and Five Guys is my go-to best burger on the road because
Yeah.
I'm a road warrior, right? Pre-COVID, I would be traveling 2 to 3 days a week.
Right. There is a place in Iowa, and I can't remember. I think it's in Des Moines, called Zombie Burger. And they have the most amazing burgers, and all their burgers are horror themed. And one of the ones that I had was "I'm Coming to Get You, Barbara," which is basically 2 grilled cheeses on top and bottom with the burger patty in between.
Oh, wow. That sounds delicious.
It's heaven.
That
It's
sounds
heaven.
delicious.
But as I was eating it, I dialed 9 and 1 just so I had the other one ready in case I had a heart attack right then and there.
Right. Yeah. It reminds me of just going to Portillo's in Chicago, right?
Oh God, I love Portillo's. They have Portillo's has an Italian beef croissant that they do with cheese. It's their cheesy croissant, and I had it once, and I've never had it again. It was so good. I was like, I will literally kill myself eating this thing.
Right.
So good.
Right. But it's a wonderful treat. It's like, here in upstate New York, there's the State Fair. And I always have, Gianelli sausage, it's loaded with peppers and very much like Portillo's, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's the one time that I will have a heavy meal like that,
This is a question for the ages: cake or pie?
Pie, easy.
Favorite
Yep.
pie?
Favorite pie would be, that's a tough one. I want to say coconut cream.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's a really good one. Yeah.
I'm not a lot of people know have heard of this, but it's a mincemeat pie.
Yeah, sure. I've had mincemeat
And everyone who hears that thinks it's made out of meat. It's not. But mincemeat pie is a great holiday pie. If you and also there's something that my sister makes called a chess pie. And look up the recipe. It is like 15 pounds of butter, and that's it. It's just delicious. It's so good.
Wow.
But last one, spring or fall?
Fall.
Yeah, I'm a fall guy.
Well, in upstate New York, where I live, and I live on a 10-acre parcel of land, so we're surrounded by woods. Yeah, it's cool. So the fall colors are just dynamite. Spring is annoying because it spits and starts, then it snowed Mother's Day weekend on us in May.
Of course it did.
Right? I mean, come on. So spring it's nice, but it doesn't have that fall, right? Just,
right.
Go fall, summer going into fall, that like nice long, and, I camp out a lot. So campfires in the fall are the best, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, and in the fall, I always like the spring from the standpoint of the animals. So you have all the little babies running around and things like that. So it's not like I live in a suburb of Chicago, so I don't see a ton of that. But the baby squirrels are out and they're doing crazy stuff. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was always when school starts. It's always when it's when I met my wife in the fall, and it's also when we conceived our babies. So
there you go.
Fall is magical for us.
Well, Christian, it was amazing getting a chance to talk to you. I love your app. Everyone who is watching, at least download the app and play with it. And if you want to buy it, then buy it. I think it's worth the money. But the app itself is ingenious, and the fact that you can layer all these components in together and you can use your custom sounds if you want to, it sounds like so much fun. I am going to be using it in my next adventure just because I have to put a fart sound in there somewhere.
I do have a fart sword. I call it a cursed sword. It's in there, and that was from our Sam at Role Playing and Role Playing.
Oh God, I tell you,
One of his shitty ideas. So it came to life.
Yeah. Well, I'm really looking forward to playing with the app, and we'll talk again soon, I'm sure. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Happy gaming.
Yep.